The thing you are holding on to the tightest may be the very thing moving furthest away from you. It could be a relationship, money, success, or one specific person. You keep chasing, and the universe keeps ignoring you. Why? Because you are not attracting, you are desperate, and desperation pushes things away. The core message of detach to attract is simple. Attachment weakens your energy. Detachment makes your energy magnetic. Understand this clearly. When you hold on to someone because you're afraid of losing them, your behavior stops being natural. You overthink, you overreact, you overgive, and most dangerously, you lower your own value. Calvin W. Nathan says that you become what you quietly expect. In other words, if deep down you expect that someone will leave you, that a deal will fail, or that you will be ignored, then your body language, your tone, and your decisions begin to take the shape of that expectation. And then you ask, why does this always happen to me? Here's the truth. You do not need that person. You do not need that approval. You do not need that outcome. What you need is to shift your energy. Attachment says, I need this or I'm incomplete. Detachment says, I like this, but I'm still complete without it. Do you see the difference? One carries the vibration of need, the other carries the vibration of power, and the world responds to power. Think about what happens when you send someone a message, then keep checking your phone again and again. That's not just an action, it's energy. It's a subconscious signal saying, I'm waiting, please validate me. And waiting for validation is never attractive. Clarifying, detachment does not mean ignoring people. Detachment means becoming emotionally independent. You still take action, you still make an effort, but you do not try to force the result. That's what changes the game. Now here's an uncomfortable truth. Reflective, intimate. You may not actually want that person. You may want the feeling that person gives you, security, attention, validation. And as long as you're hungry for validation, you are not in control. Attachment makes you a slave. Detachment makes you a king. Remember this. What is meant for you does not come because you chase it. It comes when you are aligned with it. Alignment begins when your self-worth no longer depends on anything outside you. Start making this shift today. Stop chasing, start improving. Stop clinging, start growing. Stop forcing, start flowing. Because when you become full within yourself, the world can no longer ignore you. This is not just mindset, this is energy mechanics, and until now, you've been standing on the wrong side of it. Now it's time to switch sides. Until now, you believed that if you made more effort, proved yourself harder, and sacrificed more, then the thing you wanted would finally become yours. But the game works in reverse. When you enter over-effort mode, you send a subtle message, I'm not enough, so I have to do extra. And people can feel that vibration. Detach to attract points to a powerful idea. Obsession with the outcome destroys attraction. When you focus only on the result, you lose the present moment. And when you lose the present moment, you lose your natural charm. Think back to the first time you met someone. You were relaxed, you were natural, you had no expectations. That's why the energy felt light. Then slowly, attachment entered, expectations appeared, fear appeared, comparison appeared. And that's exactly where attraction began to fall. Calvin W. Nathan explains a subtle point. Attraction does not come from effort, it comes from state. What is state? It's your inner position. If your inner position is, I'm complete and I'm secure, your behavior becomes calm.
But if your inner position is, I will break if this person leaves, your behavior becomes anxious. And anxious energy pushes. Calm energy pulls. That's why people who seem to be in a I don't care mode often appear more attractive. They're not careless, they're detached. Their life does not depend on one outcome. And when life does not depend on one outcome, fear disappears. Where there is no fear, there is natural confidence. The real problem is not that you want someone too much. The real problem is that you want yourself too little. When self-value is low, attachment becomes high. When self-value is high, attachment naturally dissolves. Clarifying, detachment does not mean becoming cold. It means becoming emotionally stable. Send the message, but don't depend on the reply. Apply for the opportunity, but don't panic over the result. Love someone, but don't sacrifice your identity. And remember this, the universe does not reward the person who chases, it rewards the person who is aligned. Alignment means your intention is clean, your self-respect is intact, and your happiness is not locked to one outcome. Here's a practical shift. From today onward, whenever you feel afraid of losing something, ask yourself one question. Who am I without this? If the answer is, I'm nothing, then the problem is not the thing. The problem is your identity. And healing that identity is real detachment. What is meant for you will not come through your tension. It will come through your transformation. Now the game is becoming clear. Will you keep chasing, or will you decide to become magnetic? This is where it gets interesting. You may think detachment is just an emotional trick. It's not. It's a power shift. Until now, the power was outside you. Now the power has to come back inside. Reflective, intimate. Your pain feels intense because you have outsourced your happiness. Outsourced means you have attached your mood, your confidence, and your self-worth to someone else's behavior. If they reply, you feel happy. If they ignore you, you feel low. That's not life. That's emotional slavery. One of the core truths behind detach to attract is that the more you need something, the more it controls you. Whatever you need becomes your master, and where you're a slave, attraction dies. Because attraction exists when two people stand on equal ground, not when one person is chasing and the other is deciding. Now hear this hard truth. You are not actually chasing that person. You're chasing the version of yourself you felt when you were with them. Special, important, chosen. But if you can't make yourself feel special every day, no other person can become a permanent solution. They may give you a temporary high, but they cannot give you permanent peace.
The first step of detachment is accepting reality. Accept that people change, situations shift, plans fail, and all of this is normal. Attachment creates pain when you resist reality. Resistance creates pain. Acceptance creates power. Calvin W. Nathan offers a subtle observation. Expectations are silent, but destructive. You may not make loud demands, you simply assume things internally. They should understand me. They should prioritize me. They should make an effort. And when they do not, you feel hurt. Why? Because there was an expectation. Expectation is the hidden form of attachment. To detach means to reduce expectation. It means you give effort, but you do not expect a... The first step of detachment is accepting reality. Accept that people change, situations shift, plans fail, and all of this is normal. Attachment creates pain when you resist reality. Resistance creates pain. Acceptance creates power. Calvin W. Nathan offers a subtle observation. Expectations are silent, but destructive. You may not make loud demands, You simply assume things internally. They should understand me. They should prioritize me. They should make an effort. And when they do not, you feel hurt. Why? Because there was an expectation. Expectation is the hidden form of attachment. To detach means to reduce expectation. It means you give effort, but you do not expect a guaranteed return. You give love, but you do not force a response. You apply, but you do not attach your ego to whether you are selected. And here a mindset shift happens. You say, I cannot lose this person. Detachment says, if this is truly meant for me, it will not lose me. Do you see the difference? The first is fear-based thinking. The second is trust-based thinking. Fear repels, trust attracts. Here is a powerful exercise. The next time your mind begins to panic, when it feels as if everything is slipping out of your hands, stop. Take a deep breath. Tell yourself, I am not the outcome. I am the effort. I am the value. The outcome is external. My value is internal. When you focus on internal value, the external world naturally begins to align. You do not really want the thing, you want control. And control exists in only one place, within yourself. The day you learn to control yourself, you will no longer need to control anyone else. That's where real attraction begins. Are you starting to understand the game? Now let us go deeper. You may have been seeing detachment only through the lens of relationships, but this principle applies to every area of life: money, career, status, social media validation. The more you cling to these things, the more they seem to slip away. Make one simple observation. When you walk into an interview and the only thought in your mind is, I need this job, I need this job, your body becomes stiff, your voice becomes unnatural, you begin trying too hard to impress. But when you enter with the state of mind that if you get it, good, and if you don't, you are still capable, you become relaxed, you speak clearly, you seem authentic. And notice the irony. Which state gives you a better chance of being selected? The calm state. That's not a coincidence. It's the psychological effect of detachment. Calvin W. Nathan indirectly highlights something important. Neediness kills negotiation power. The person who needs the outcome will compromise. The person who would like the outcome but doesn't need it maintains standards, and the world respects standards. Your problem is not that you want a dream. The problem is that you turn the dream into your identity. When your identity is attached to an outcome, every setback feels personal, and when every setback feels personal, you become emotionally unstable. Detachment makes your identity flexible. You may fail, but you do not break. You may lose, but you do not collapse. Here's another brutal truth. Attachment lives in the future. Detachment lives in the present. Attachment says, I will be happy when I get this. Detachment says, I am complete even now. And the person who feels complete in the present creates the energy of abundance. Scarcity energy pushes, abundance energy attracts. Have you ever noticed that people who are busy with their own lives, focused on their goals and invested in their growth, naturally draw others toward them? Why? Because they are not chasing, they are building. And the builder is always more powerful than the buyer. Detachment doesn't mean losing interest. Detachment means losing fear. You can like someone, but don't carry the fear that without them, you are nothing. That single belief is your chain, and as long as the chain exists, you are not free. From today onward, create one mental rule. I will enjoy things, but I will not try to possess them. I will make an effort, but I will not try to control everything. I will have desire, but I will not build dependency. If you make these 3 shifts, your energy will change in a subtle way, and people will begin to feel drawn towards you without even understanding why. Remember,
Attraction comes less from action and more from state, and your state becomes powerful when you are internally independent. Now the game is almost clear. But the most important layer is self-worth. Without self-worth, detachment becomes fake. You say, "I don't care," but inside, you still care deeply. That's not detachment, that's suppression. Real detachment begins when you genuinely believe, "I am enough." The deepest principle of detach to attract is this: you do not attract what you want, you attract what you believe you deserve. Understand this carefully. If deep inside you believe you are average, replaceable, or unlucky, then subconsciously you will behave in ways that prove that belief. And then you will say, "My luck is bad." No, your self-image is weak. What is the root of attachment? Fear of loss. What is the root of the fear of loss? The belief that you will not get anything better. And that belief appears when self-worth is low. That is why the real work of detachment is rebuilding self-worth. Think about it. If you knew that you were valuable, rare, and not easily replaced, would you panic? No, you would stay calm. And calm energy is attractive energy. Calvin W. Nathan gives another subtle insight. Expectations quietly become identity. If you quietly expect to be ignored, you present yourself as optional. If you quietly expect to be respected, you carry yourself like a standard. The difference is not in behavior first, it's in belief. Now ask yourself an uncomfortable question. If that person leaves, if that job doesn't come, if that deal fails, will you still choose yourself? Or will you blame yourself? The day you choose yourself, the world begins to choose you too. Detachment doesn't mean shutting down emotion. Detachment means keeping emotion under control. Care, but don't collapse. Love, but don't lose yourself. Don't chase, improve. Now, understand one final shift. Until now, you have been running after the result. Now, you will become the value.
Instead of trying to attract the result, you will become so strong that the result has to be attracted to you. This is not ego. This is alignment. When self-worth becomes stable, detachment becomes natural. Then you no longer need to impress anyone. Then you no longer need to prove yourself to anyone. You simply exist, and your presence becomes powerful. Now listen carefully to the final shift. Detachment does not mean giving up desire. Detachment means giving up fear. Desire is natural. Fear is destructive. When you desire with fear, you cling. When you desire with trust, you attract. Detach to attract makes one thing clear again and again. Attachment makes you powerless. Detachment makes you centered. A centered person does not chase. A centered person chooses. And when you begin to choose, your energy changes. Until now, you kept running after outcomes. Now, reverse the equation. Let the outcomes move toward you. Build yourself. Go to the gym not only for the body, but for discipline. Work not only for money, but for skill. Love not for attention, but for experience. When the intention shifts, attraction becomes automatic. Remember this: what you hold too tightly moves away from you. What you allow to flow either returns or something better enters your life. Detachment is not the risk of loss. It is the gateway to an upgrade. Now be honest with yourself. Do you want the thing, or do you want your power? Because when you take back your power, the thing begins to move toward you on its own. And the source of that power is always the same: self-worth, self-control, self-alignment. If this realization has struck something inside you, if you can now see that you were chasing instead of attracting, then the decision is yours. Do not treat this as just another idea.
Apply it. Because knowledge does not make you attractive. Application does. When you truly learn to detach, you realize something you should have known all along. You never needed to chase anyone. You were already enough. You had simply forgotten.